Miss Tetiana, it is an honor and pleasure that during this difficult time you found the time for us, for the Polish TV, for a little interview, especially that the end of the year, we're almost in front of 2-year time war. We're now in Kyiv, where bombing can happen each hour, each moment, even now during this interview, and you are here with us. It's really a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, it's my great pleasure and honor to be present today with you and to have this great opportunity to speak to this very respected audience. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express my immense gratitude to the whole Polish nation, Polish people, to Poland, and you personally, for this unwavering support of Ukrainian people, Ukrainian women, in this ruthless and in this barbaric war waged by Russia against Ukraine and the rest democratic and civilized world.
What was that time for you in 2016, the most important challenge you came with this department?
For me, like former deputy minister now, it's a big challenge that we still live in the war. We understand all these challenges and threats, but our Ukrainian women, they are not being scared situation, and they act, they know that they will win. They hand in hand and together along with men, they also decided to help and to defend of freedom of our state and territorial integrity.
When I meant a challenge, I thought also a gender challenge,
yes.
Because you are the second one, as far as I know, in the Ukrainian history to be on such high level in the former history of Ukraine. What was the biggest challenge in the gender aspect?
Yes.
A woman who is involved in the ministry of military service, because all military service is under Ministry of Inner Affairs.
Yes, you're right. You know that after the Revolution of Dignity, we understood that there were a very great request for gender equality, for gender policy, development of gender policy in all absolutely spheres of our life, especially in military, in law enforcement bloc, in the security, national security and defense sector. And for me, like deputy for that moment, it was like my challenge and also my big responsible and duty to provide and to create such adequate opportunities for women in order to promote their role in participation in all levels, like decision making, peacekeeping operation, and absolutely all level of national security and defense. So we were the first, like government of Ukraine at that moment, were the first country that we adopted the legislation, the changes to legislation according to gender equality policy in Ukrainian society to combating and preventive measures of domestic violence and gender-based violence. So it was so much important, and we really incorporated a lot of changes. We opened in 2017, we opened more than 400 positions that were forbidden for women, for example, like a combat medic, like a sniper. It was a very disruptive reform and transformation, first and foremost, in our mindset. That's why we adopted there also the UN Security Council Resolution 3025, Women, Peace and Security. We even elaborated together with our international partners our national action plan. So I think that it really was like a landmark of our activity, that we really we demonstrated our and political and all other different willingness to be part of this society, like both for men and for women in absolutely equal position.
What was the biggest challenge in overcoming like mental stereotypes?
Any changes, of course, they happen first in our mind, and we need to first to change our mindsets in order to understand that these stereotypes is like a false belief that no, women cannot be there really fully and equal part of our society. That's why it was the main challenge for us, because men, they also started to be like a very big supporter of all these changes. And of course, like step by step, women understood that even in economics, in political life, in public life, in other sphere of our society, it's impossible to be successful, to have success without fully engagement of women in any sphere of our public life. Women can be like house wife, but also it can be like in military, in law enforcement, and in police, in National Guard, and it's only depends on her choice and her knowledge and her education. So, but we eliminated any gap towards this result, because it was a lot of gaps, including in legislation, including in all these traditional like norms and standards that absolutely didn't work at all, but they still were like their prominent features in our minds. Now we have a very good result, because women together with men, they're really honorably serving in the armed forces of Ukraine, in the National Guard, in police, National Police of Ukraine, in State Bodyguard Service of Ukraine, in Rescue and Emergency Service of Ukraine, in other law enforcement bodies. And I think it's a greatest achievement of our society in this way.
You were lucky to be a partner in this great challenge. And coming back to the numbers, what was a statistic? How does it show? What was the situation in army in 2016 and today?
Now it's, for example, in law enforcement, in 2014, 2019, I think it was more than 50% of women, and now I think it even more amount of women in military.
What is more difficult to change, mentality or law?
I think everything needs to be changed in parallel. We understood that we need to cover absolutely all our gaps, and I think that we did it in the Ministry of Interior, and now we understand that yes, it was very big success for our country.
Your success. I can say it right now by the table. Your huge initiative and response for the war was funding charity organization called Faces for Life. It's very symbolical. The name is Facing. Okay, I've heard Facing.
It's like turning to life.
To the life.
To the life, yes.
Very symbolical name.
Yes. For the purpose.
Yeah, for the purpose.
For the purpose.
What is the purpose of this organization?
To reintegrate again to normal life all our veterans, ex-combatants, all people now after 2022, when the full scale of the war started in our country, in order to understand that yes, there is chance to come back to normal life, to normal conditions, and be like active society, like active public institution, and caring Ukrainian and international community and our partners. We need to create this opportunity for veterans and ex-combatants really to be reintegrated again to normal conditions of our life. Not only for them, but also for their families, for their kids, for their closest friends, because it's like a core of our society, and it's impossible, for example, to do something on one level and not to do on another level, because it won't be very efficient. So, and now Facing Life really try to promote women's role and try to start very good initiatives concerning their psychological rehabilitation of veterans, ex-combatants, and the whole people who suffered from the war. I think it's our mission, and of course we need to continue, because our efforts, it's not enough to cover such big amount of people that now really exposed to the war.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. What is your challenge for this? What type of maybe modern or new initiatives in this background you're trying to?
Oh yeah, it's a very huge problem for Ukrainian society now, and it was a very huge problem even started from the war started. It's in fact was in 2014, and now it's only biggest and biggest, unfortunately. And we understand that PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, it also like cover all our society, not only veterans, not only combatant, not only military, but also civilian kids, adult people, and women, of course. And according to the researchers, we understood that more than 50% from military sector was in PTSD. And for example, when we in law enforcement sphere in the ministry, we understood that, for example, so often the let's say hero on the wall, when they come back to the society, to the normal life, to families, to the families, and they couldn't cope with this because they wanted to come back again to front line, to the war, and
to this high level of adrenaline they got used to.
Yes, and unfortunately society on absolutely all level didn't create such opportunities for them in order to rehabilitate, to provide them proper rehabilitation.
You're going back to material issues. What is your answer? What do you find a key spots that were not used before in this PTSD syndrome?
Yes, first it's new technologies, technologies that we can use in order to be absolutely fast in identification, and in order to really put this diagnosis very fast, and it will be like help for doctors how to identify in a very quick way and how to do everything in order to help these people. And of course, for example, in the ministry it was so often when sometimes veteran or this ex-combatant commit suicide. Yes. And unfortunately before the suicide
it was hidden.
He was hidden. He committed crime, and we understand that it's very correlated things. And because we didn't provide any like psychological support. And of course I think that new technologies and new transformational disruptive technologies that now also we have in Ukraine together with all of Pine Foundation, they help to eliminate these big and awful statistics and really to help people again to reintegrate in normal conditions of social life, of public life, to unite family again, because it's so much important not to allow people to let down and to stay in this very dangerous mental state, because mental health now and then it's like, you know, the fundamental basic.
As far as I get in PTSD, the most crucial thing is that it can be hidden for a long time. There is a movie called Butterfly Effect, a Ukrainian movie that was showed in Cannes. I've seen it, and it's based on the true story about the woman who was in the first part of the war in Donbass. She was a drone operator. She comes back to home, and the syndrome is really hidden. It shows up during the nightmares, during the night.
Приносні судини їм 8-9 тижнів.
That's why it's so much important to provide a very really like emergency support, emergency help for them. Also through the very proper diagnosis, very proper treatment. That's why we need to really to consolidate all these efforts, because it's now not only for military but for all civil society, and also of course connected to the women, because they also, you know, they the most like sensitive, because they have kids, because they have their responsibilities and duties.
In which levels of society, of creativity, women from Poland, from European Union can cooperate, and where you see the aims and the really crucial areas to fulfill?
Thanks for this question. You know that despite now we live under the war, ongoing the war, but we don't need only concentrate on military on the war, because there are a lot of other spheres like humanitarian, culture, like art, in order to really cooperate together, in order to unite our efforts, in order to build these bridges of communication, of understanding, to talk about the war, to talk about this problem, to really express what they feel, to understand how European women, how European community can help. And that's why we need to really build this platform, not only based on military, on the war, on armed, but also based on very humanity, on absolutely all our common principles and values.
Just tell me in few last sentence how after the end of the war, because we're waiting for the
Yeah,
end of the war,
all of us.
how your organization will face life.
I think all our activity also will be dedicated how to integrate people to a normal life, and of course it's impossible to do it without all our partners and their support, and we so much appreciate this great and unwavering support from our European partners, from our friends, because we understood that really Ukraine can rely on all our partners, and it's like, you know, coming back to home, to European home. And for us it's very much important that we have this key like stability former factor. We also like stand together and do everything in order to ensure our victory, because it's not only victory of Ukraine, it's victory for the whole, I think, democratic and civilized world. And for us it's really big mission. Thank you that you really support us in this big mission.
Right now I feel that even if there are some tough moments like military service from Europe to Ukraine, I believe in a soft power you're making, and
Absolutely.
this gives us a hope for the future. Facing life is facing future. Thank you so
Facing
much.
future, you're right, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for invitation and for this interview.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
My pleasure too.
Thank you.